Hello. I'm Giulio Quarta, Director of the Commons Economy Roadmap. I'm here with Simone Robutti.
Hello.
I'm also here with Genkai and Max Wu, respectively CEO and CTO of HackMD and two co-founders of the project. Today, we're going to continue our conversation on the future of software and organizing, as HackMD is a very interesting and very used tool based on collaborative editing with some nice community features that we'll explore to this conversation. And this talk, as the other and the next ones, are meant to create some context and sense making around the Commons Economy Roadmap, which is the protocol that we are stewarding. So we hope you will enjoy the conversation, and please let us know what you think about it and if you have proposals for the next episodes. This happened because the team of HackMD reached to us and they wanted to be involved. So please, if you want to introduce yourselves.
Hello, everybody. I'm Simone. I'm also collaborating with the Commons Economy Roadmap, but otherwise, I'm an organization designer and formerly a software developer. I am here mostly for my interest in knowledge, design patterns, and in general the future of software. And I hope to be part of this conversation by giving some input on some reflection on what HackMD is doing and where they fit in the broader scheme of things of where software is going.
Yeah, my name is Junkai, CEO of HackMD. We are Max and I are co-founders of this company. We've been doing this for a couple of years now, trying to build this community platform for software developers, more broadly, technical people, like to build this community around their co-builders, collaborators, their users, and also the audience to build this mutually communicative platform for everyone.
Hello everyone, I'm Max, and yeah, we like to play video games and little gadgets to toy, and also the tech lover, and also software developer. Sometimes do open source software. Yeah, and I think um, it's my pleasure that we can connect together with knowledge sharing, and I like to share something I found to my colleague and the friends and to the world. And this is a mission that HackMD helped us to collaborate with like using the open format together. And there's some kind of a protocol in the world that we can share knowledge there. Yeah, that's what I think.
Great. Thank you for being here. So we can definitely start from introducing HackMD. So yeah, it's a collaborative editing tool, mostly for developers, but not only, as you will see. And it's interesting that is one of the first users of the service was the Ethereum Foundation. When I found out about it, it was like, wow, lucky, but also good job. So yeah, please go ahead and tell us about this service that you are providing since so many years.
Okay, so this project HackMD started off as a side project of Max in here. He built this initially for friends, me and Max and other colleagues building things. This is like the idea comes from we have Google Docs, but then back then Google Docs is for have this format of A4 filling. It's still very trying to be backward compatible with the docx format, the Microsoft Office format. And we also have GitHub, but GitHub is more like for version controlling. It's for code. But as a software developer, we know that documentation is as important, if not more important, to help people understand the software you guys are building. So it's very important to have a way to better version control and collaborate on the documentation. And then that's where Max came up with the idea to use this Markdown. So Markdown back then, this is still an open source format. So like there could be a day you stop wanting to pay for Microsoft Office fee, like 365 fee, then you cannot open any of your .docx files, right? There's a day when Evernote's kind of going out of business. Everything you stored on Evernote is gonna be gone forever. So we have like the initial idea is that you have this. The idea of Max scene is like we need to do this thing like has to like our knowledge and our learnings goes beyond like go with us for next beyond next 5 to 10 years, like the normal software company's life cycle, what, 10 years, 20 years, maybe 30 years. But in your lifetime, you're gonna see the rise and fall of different software companies, solutions. So having this open source format of to store your knowledge is very important for you to keep using those things. So that's why HackMD really started with MD simple Markdown in this thing, and it's all about hacking Markdown. Now, if you want to really make Markdown as format useful, you need to add a whole lot of modern feature to it. Real-time collaboration, commenting, all the good jazz to it. Like basically trying to replace or be a better Google Docs or Microsoft Office Word for our users, and then for better than GitHub for our users to organize for documentation instead of code. So yeah, this is kind of like the hacking start of HackMD, and then we think going beyond real-time collaboration, we actually see that there's a whole lot of like asynchronous collaboration. So like people like HackMD, the experience to work on HackMD together real time is really great. But then there are a lot of use cases that happens in the asynchronous collaboration. So we have this commenting system. We now have a whole lot of like sharing or reaction or editing, suggest editing based on asynchronous editing use cases. So that's how we kind of evolve from there. And we also know that it's very important to have, like we said, this like the way software developers manage their source code, manage their whole repository using GitHub. So we integrate like people want things to be in one place, right? You don't want to have all my code is stored here, all my things is stored in there, and things separate. So like HackMD will have this GitHub integration, like every node can be synced to GitHub, and you can push to different branches. You can create a new branch in HackMD and push that to GitHub so that the HackMD can play very well with your existing workflow. However, you decide to version control your own code base. That's where HackMD comes into play. Very helpful. Yeah, so that's kind of like a big idea where we started, and yeah, I mean, we can start from here, guys. How do you think?
I have a question. How much of, like, let's say the state of your documents is in HackMD, but also it's reflected on GitHub? What are the options to have control over this? Like, do the user have to commit explicitly, or is there some other mechanism? Like, how much is like control versus flow of editing?
Yeah, that's a really good one.
So Max, you want to answer this question? This is a good one.
Yeah, so we were trying to make that like writing in Markdown pretty easier than other tools, but we're still using Markdown there. And for the version control, there's a auto version control that our system will save a version like every 5 or 10 minutes. It's based on if you keep writing it, it'll save it slower, like 10 minutes. But if you stop writing in 5 minutes, it'll save another version for you. That's called auto versioning. But also, if you're trying to like, this is the version I want, you can name it. So you can name specific version, auto version to your naming version. And you can use that naming version in the future indicator. Yeah.
But this is like GitHub, on your side. It's not on
so
Git, right?
You can naming, just as I said, you can name that version and you can push that specific version to GitHub.
Okay, I see. Reasonable.
Yeah. I'll be more specific. Like for each, you can. So we default like every auto-save version or name version can be a commit, and then when you push it, then you can decide which commit you want to put on. So later, probably like, let's say you work on this document for 2 hours already, like so you have probably 12, 10 to 12 versions there, and then you're probably just okay. I only want this and this being committed.
Yeah,
So you sync that to GitHub as a commit. Each version is being commit, and then you push that into GitHub.
I see.
And you can push it into a branch or directly merge it into your main branch. Is up to you.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. And I have another question because I played a bit around with the tool, but not in combination with Git or GitHub. Like I see that you can import single files, right? But can you also like usually when you have a rich documentation on Git, like you have multiple files or maybe they are spread throughout because some people like to keep like readmes inside specific folders. Does HackMD offer something specific to explore a Git repository, or just you open them one by one and then they are linked one by one
Yeah.
and committed one by one?
Right. So right now we're working on towards having this folder to folder structure. This is something in the cooking. Like as much as software will evolve or like our knowledge will move on, this folder and file analogy to like real world organization structure. Like Simone, for example, at your back you have the shelf of boxes. Like each box is like you have label on it, right? So like those boxes has meaning to you, and that's how you organize your information. That's how you retrieve your information. That's local and dear to you. So yeah, we're working on this. So we see that this isn't avoidable, and then the GitHub is probably gonna be stay that way for a long time. And we'll like that's why we're currently working on to have this folder integration, folder level integration to have better mapping of knowledge to your storage.
Yeah, because I was envisioning exactly this, like each user having different pointers and their own local, access gateway to even multiple repositories and in a single place. That's actually the biggest problem I have sometimes. Like if I'm working on a multi-repository setup and even the main readme of each project, like it's a lot of clicking going around on this. So having a centralized view somehow it's interesting, even more so if I'm contributing to different open source projects that are related. And on one question on this, I don't know even if it's a reasonable feature to think of, but like this personal mapping of all these repositories, is it specific to one user or can it be shared in bulk, for example, to other users? Because so far I've seen you can share specific files. That makes sense. I guess this folder structure you're talking about that will come soon maybe will be shareable too to some degree, or like collaboratively edited. But like, can I make like a collection of files and share that too? This is a sincere question. Like I haven't tried to see if there is something like this.
We have a very ingenious feature we call it book mode, which I think Max can share with you guys.
I don't know if you guys have the chance to try that. There's a feature called GitHub Wiki. So I found that you actually can use a list, a bullet point in Markdown to specify the links you want to include in your book. That means a book is like table of content, right? A book is consists of a table of content. So you just write a table of content, and each of them connect to a node, and eventually become a book. That's the idea of book mode. And in Markdown, you list the node you want, and you click the share mode. You want to it be a book mode and share it. It will become a book. And the book itself is collaborative because you can people can use their way to write the table content. They can change the order and add more link there, and just refresh the table content, and the book mode is and it can you can just share the book mode yourself. Yeah.
I will give the mic. Go on.
Let me just add a few points here to Max's answer. So we look at like you said, the folder is a very personal. Like each person has their own meaning of naming their boxes or their folders, and that is for personal organization and personal, like I said, retrieval. But then for sharing thing, there's a different sharing knowledge is a different use case that you want to have a way to organize your information so that's easily digestible. So like maybe a few pieces from this box, another few pieces from this box. Like for example, in your experience working on open source projects, you have README from several projects. Now, if you want to share with a potential collaborators, hey, this is all the project I've been done before. You want to put all the READMEs into one place and then one box to share that with your friend, with your future collaborator. There's a way. So that takes some sort of curation, right? So Max, the book mode Max came up, back in 2015, was like you can have a link to notes separate, like in different folders, and you can curate it anyway into a book. We call it a book, but essentially it's just a curated list of notes that can be shared with Julio, and you can modify that a little bit, save it to another version, or create another new book and share with Mac and I. And we'll be seeing the same contents curated in different orders, or in different, like some of them may be left out based on permission you want to share. So yeah, that's the ingenuity of the book mode.
But so how is this content linked, like under the hood? Like, is it like a web link, or is it something that goes through the HackMD server? Like, what's the actual content of like linking these nodes to the actual content?
Yeah, so it's really just sets of URLs. Like each node is having its own unique URL, and they've been stored plain text in this another node. So the book mode is called mode. It's not a book. It's like if it's just a new data structure, we call it book, right? So it's actually the same data structure. Under the hood is like a plain document, but then a plain document, a collection of URLs. Now you can render this URL, this collection, this document, this node of URLs into a book mode. So it's still a node containing links. So let's say one day HackMD goes out of service, like you want to migrate off somewhere else, or like the internet, I don't know, somehow crashed. You still have this like very just plain text node saying, okay, this is linked to that node, linked to that node. You can also add meta description so about your book in that book mode node. So you can say, oh, this is a book about so and so. So like these resources, put it here so that the reader can reference these resources here, and it in itself is a node, easily portable, plain text, readable by every browser, every OS text editors.
I was thinking about one of your mottos. If I'm not wrong, is like building community with documentation, right? I find it very interesting, especially in the context of this conversation, because I think there's been like this opening of the black box that before like was maybe more in the back end of software development, which is the code, and now it's more and more open, and necessarily so, and everybody who is building anything is basically interacting with other hundreds of entities building software, and so the whole industry is like opening up, and it's more and more important to have a strong connection with the community, otherwise you don't go anywhere. So if you want to touch on that, that would be great.
Yeah, so we started off as a text editor, like very just for beginning, we just try to be a better Google Docs plus GitHub, and that's how we started. But now we see that as the product progress, we see the more user write things down, not just for themselves, they write things down to share with their readers. Like a lot of our users are putting a lot of effort into polishing the words, polishing the thoughts of things. They actually have, like, many of our users go through this entire life cycle of creating a note. They actually draft a lot of ideally just just put down their ideas in a lot of notes, and then maybe once a week or once a day sometime they will try to organize these thoughts into a piece of like more polished thing, and then they now start sharing that thing with that kind of draft with your community. And that community sharing is actually very important because they initially share with their closer circle. For example, maybe you have this idea you share with Simone, and then, okay, you guys work on that together. And then when you guys think, okay, yeah, this is polished enough, we try to response to any potential rebuttal we see. Rebuttal we see, we just put it there and then try to defend ourselves, and then now you put it out there, and then you want people to see it, and that is where your collaborator comes in, your viewership come in, your like people start giving you feedback, either leaving a comment or discussing that over somewhere else, I don't know, like Twitter, X.com, or somewhere else, right? So this is like you are essentially you're building connection with these people, and you are not necessarily all under the same organization. You may like some of your reader may be a part of another movement. Some of your may be like maybe school, like academics. Some of your readers may be, I don't know, gamers, or maybe crypto investors. So like these people can come from different walks of life, and then they can all be part of your community. They can give you feedback. Now, if we are just doing, if we look at these people just as readers or audience, that's really wasting a very good opportunity to build a community here. Like traditional format of knowledge sharing, blog posts, or Web 1 pages, even Web 2 pages, they are like, I write it and they read it, and that's the end of our relationship. But there's really a whole lot more to it. Your reader can come from different walks of life, and they have drastically different viewpoint than from yours. But then his point can have like very good value to add it to your piece, and then we'll try to lower the bar of that kind of feedback communication loop, so that we added like commenting, we added like a kind of chat room at the end of at the bottom of the HackMD notes. Essentially, we're trying to like human knowledge is like we can all go to Twitter, X.com, or somewhere else, just like to rant about things, put in a thread, and then do commenting. But to have meaningful conversation, we want to have like organized thought. Like you want to really polish your thoughts and then put it into your one organized piece, or like sit down here with us, like have this like very structured interview. Like people can comment on it, and that is where you can also reference back to, okay, this is what is being written in the first paragraph, and then in the third paragraph we kind of do something differently. We talk about different things on the fifth paragraph. You can always reference back to what it was. Like people can give feedback in a more structured and more constructive way. It's almost like putting your thought, putting the time dimension into this document dimension, and people can jump within time different to actually reference to different things. This is much better way of communication deeply than just shouting at people over Hexacom. So that's how we see the community building.
And just for the audience that is maybe would be interested in trying the tool, but they are not actually building software, HackMD could be used also for non-coding purposes, like for example for community rules or procedures or
yeah, totally. So
okay.
we see, for example, there is a carpenter hobbyist, carpenter, like building things with wood, carpenter hobbyist group in the United Kingdom. They use HackMD for their own their own organization of sharing events. We also see some users in Japan, in Taiwan, building their local government, like the local government congress meeting minutes. They put it online on HackMD so people can get to talk about it, see if that's for them. So this is really goes beyond techno people. Obviously, with the Markdown format, it's a little bit trickier for people to get started because it seems scary. Like it's different from what you see is what you get kind of editor. But we decide to keep it as it is. Like once some of our customer asks, do you really need to be like this? It's pretty not trouble with my community. But yeah, we say because like this is for your good. Like one day you want to bring this knowledge with you. We HackMD don't want to hold your data hostage. That's like almost feel like every platform today Evernote. I've been bitten very hard by Evernote when I was growing up. Evernote was a big thing when I was in college, later years of my college time. It's like, yeah, this is I don't know. I put a lot of things in Evernote and it just bit me when they kind of get out of business. I feel like the same thing is going to happen to a lot of other proprietary formatted platform there. So yeah, and also I think other good example would be like some of our users they're speaking their own very few people use native language kind of local dialect. They try to preserve that dialect. So they actually post try to uh, jot down their knowledge of each phrase, like a lot of nouns, a lot of like verbs, but basically just usage of language. They put it onto HackMD, and like each entry has its own note, and they put all the entries into one collection, and that collection becomes almost like a dictionary. So nothing technical about it, but it is really useful in terms of like preserving knowledge and organization, curation your knowledge for a user to share they want to share with.
Nice. And I think it's a good segue to get a bit more into the fractal knowledge model, let's say, the conversation that we started. As it was mentioned, like files and folders, new ways of organizing knowledge. We're observing in the last years that there's more complexity to manage, more forms and format of knowledge. We see tools as Notion that allows to integrate different things, and then the modular composable patterns. Maybe Simone wanna do some introduction on that.
I think the trade-off between a tool like Notion and a tool like HackMD has already been like laid down on the table, meaning that I see them as like almost two opposites, in the sense of like Notion tends to centralize all the knowledge, and yes, gives better tool to structure or to curate in a very complex way, because you have multiple layers to reference your content. Like you have the usual tree structure, you have the search, you have databases and all the features of the databases to search this. That is powerful, but it comes with the downside of like, first of all, as we said, like if Notion goes down, that stuff goes all down, and it's even worse than other alternatives, because docx files, in the worst case, you use LibreOffice. For Notion, there's not even a format to transfer it into. Yes, you have AnyType, you have what's the other one, a Fine, you have these tools that can import some from Notion, but probably they will die way before Notion. I don't know, let's see. But still, docx at least is a real format. Notion is not, and it's very complex. On the opposite, you have this very decentralized, hands-off approach where the files stay where they are, and HackMD kind of is a window on this from far away. And yeah, GitHub and Git in general allow you a lot more control. So, and this is also true of other tools like your kind of competitor Obsidian, I would say. But even then, like, it was interesting that when you started talking about the book mode, because it's like that's the very beginning of turning into Obsidian. It's just the first step. But Obsidian clearly is in a different business, because it doesn't have this like window on the word approach. They also tend to centralize a bit the actual materialization of the file. But it's true that there is a bigger trend of like understanding like what of these two approaches, like very decentralized hands off and very centralizing and totalizing from Notion, is gonna be the best bet, because in part they serve different purposes, but in part it's also taking different risks, right? So I see Notion as like high stake, high reward in a way, because it's very fast, it's very efficient for some use cases. But again, like if it goes down, or like if your country just cannot access American software for whatever reason, because of the Americans deciding to go to war with your country, like, hey, my organization is gone. Probably you will have other problems, because again, the America is coming into war with your country. But like MD format doesn't do that. The other historical contextualization I would like to give is more on the Markdown itself. As we said, like it's a bit scary, but I would like to let's say do an endorsement to Markdown. It's not that complicated. Like it looks scary, but in 30 minutes with a person that explaining the basics, you're like you know all you need to know. But we live in the aftermath of like Microsoft convincing you that what you see is what you get is the best way to write a document, and also that a tool like Microsoft Word should do everything from composing to formatting to publishing to I don't know, rendering somehow. While I see a tool of like HackMD like keeping the things a little separate, like the underlying structure of the Markdown. Yes, you see what you're doing on the side because that's the whole point of HackMD. Otherwise, I would use uh, any note editor. But at the same time, it's clear to the user that there are different moments in the production of the document that Microsoft Word tends to jumble up, and Google Docs too. It's not like just Microsoft; it's like everybody that copied the Office suite. And like we talked about this also in the previous video. These historically it's a big mistake because Word tends to do everything poorly. Like it does everything, but it does everything poorly. And when you decouple Markdown from the way it's rendered, you can, for example, very quickly turn a page you created, like a documentation, whatever, into slides because it's rendered in a different format. Use a slide renderer, or you don't like, let's say, the default rendering of GitHub. Whatever, you generate a PDF with a lot of fancy details and decorations, and or like an HTML website. It's very hard to turn a docx document into a website that you can copy and paste and publish. While with Markdown, even if HackMD, I mean, HackMD kind of offers that because the publish feature in the end is doing that. But if you want to turn it into a fancy website, you just plug it in a website like there's one that is called Wundershare is for slides with Markdown. There's another one to make websites, but it's the same concept. And I think like this is when you need a lot of flexibility, a lot of like you don't know what you might need in the near future. Markdown is so flexible and powerful that it's usually, and the ecosystem is so rich that usually it's a good bet. Yeah. I don't know what you think about this. If I say something I don't know, you discuss every day in the office, or like I'm speaking about very obscure reflections. I don't know.
No. I think so. Definitely, you touch on several different points. I'll try to address that, or like give my feedback on some of the points I remember. And then we just chatting, right? So we can always add new points and feedback there. So I think to your latest point about like presentation layer separated from your information layer, data layers, like HackMD, we in our editor we actually supported two features to this. One thing is we called it template, sorry, embedded nodes. So essentially, you can have this another node being embedded into into this one node. So that actually this is second important. The first one is the more important one is the CSS file. So like HackMD support CSS styling style. So like if you just give it HTML tag, maybe Max can talk about it more. But the idea is that you can actually use CSS styling to style your document elements. Now, those styling can be put into one node, like one separate node, and you can use the feature we call embedded node to bring that style sheet into your data layer. So that's the separation of presentation layer, which is the CSS style being stored in one node, and then you have this the data layer, which is your content being in one node. You can just import what we call embed that CSS node into the content node, and then you can just share that. Obviously, going forward, you want to change your style, you want to revamp your entire your profile on HackMD. HackMD will have also have profile features, so like you can use HackMD as your personal blog, and you can customize it as much as you like to your color, your fonts, yeah, those I don't know, the weight of your fonts, or the color background, that kind of thing. So this can be customized using the style sheet that's separated note, and that can be added embedded. So if you go to our tutorial book and you search embedded note, you'll find it like how to do it exactly there. So that is how we streamline the from the content, the polished content, to published published what's online, the way we do it. So that is to address like the last point you mentioned about presentation layer versus your data layer. There's also one thing interesting you said earlier, like Microsoft tried to do everything, but now everything seems like, if you look at Office definition, you see spreadsheet, you have this slide deck or a presentation slide, you have this plain documents, you have all those emails. So this is the definition of everything by Microsoft Office. But what about calendar? What about I don't know. It's like what about, obviously you can use Hotmail. If you're still using Hotmail, you can also include email as part of everything there. But everything means different for different people, right? So instead of trying to build one thing for everyone, which is impossible, we want to do really good in the data, in the content editing experience. We want to make sure things are preserved for you. Like this is like in the open source format, you can always take it with you. Like we take this open approach, not because we want our user to leave us, but we have this confidence that this value we provide to our users is enough that they will know, that knowing that you own your content doesn't actually helps you to trust us more. Like, I'm not going to hold your content hostage. You want to use us because you trust us. You can always leave us with no string attached. So now that mutual trust is very important and mutual assurance is very important for your confidence in tool. Right? So if you are building things, let's say there comes a time after you spend 3 hours, 4 hours in building this meticulously polished Notion website, it comes to what happens if I don't want to pay for Notion anymore? Like, what happens if Notion, something like you said, maybe there's a war, something that goes out of service? How do you do about that? And then also you will know the one thing is that your knowledge structure evolve with you with time. So you can do super polished Notion website there, and then maybe 3 months down the line you learn something new that change your perspective. You want to redo the whole website. Now that will become pretty painful. And I think I guess that's applied to everything. There's also a very important thing is that if you want to so everybody process and also build their knowledge of the world differently. So if you think like you have your own organization of your knowledge of the world, you put them together into a format that may not be compatible with mine. So if you share that with me, I may have trouble understanding your context because there's a lot of assumption that you take for granted that doesn't exist in my life, in my daily life. That's just different, right? So the curation, which we like to let our user do our curation. And I think there's also one thing is about the information retrieval. So let's say, for example, after let's say Julio write this Notion post about HackMD, and then in that post you mentioned your previous post about Notion, right? And in that Notion post you mentioned your previous post about, I don't know, Monday.com or some other all-in-one platform. And then in that Monday.com you compare that to, I don't know, maybe Linear, like the issue tracker, right? So now Julio, after this chat, he shared with me the note he written on HackMD. And if I want to, so obviously I read through it, everything. I think it's very cool. I try to understand Julio's thinking. I read through all his thoughts, from HackMD link to Notion, link to Monday.com, link to Nimir. That's the way I understand Julio's thinking. Now 3 months down the line, I forget most about it, but I remember there's a nugget, the piece of nugget about Linear inside Julio's thought process, how am I gonna find it back? Like that will be a problem. Like if knowledge is constantly evolving, constantly changing, reorganization. So that fractal knowledge, I think it's very important. Like when you read through it in the first goal, like I read through everything Giulio written about, HackMD, Notion, Monday.com, Linear. They don't make sense to me at that point. But as my knowledge evolved going forward, that linkage of knowledge become very fragile because you have to remember a line of thinking. But by the time, actually, the actual goal may be embedded so deep inside that stack, that'll be really painful. But yeah, I think this is really just the way. I don't think this is Notion's fault. This is nothing about it. It's more like the way we organize information. You can optimize for two things: either more optimize for retrieval speed, or you optimize for like the reading speed. It's like there's really like almost like database, right? You cannot go for both. So I don't think there's gonna be one model that's gonna take over the entire other model. And then we've been building text editor for the past 8 years since 2015, 16, right? So we learned one thing, that text editor is a very preference driven thing. So our user can love us for a reason, because we're fast, because it was easy, because we have dark mode, because we're Markdown based. That's the reason people love us, right? But then our user can, some of the equally smart people, equally capable people can love Notion, for the versatility of organizing information, the flexibility to build very complex structure, and at the end of the day, it's really it's a very personal preference thing. It's not it's not going to take over the world. None of the texts are going to take over everyone in this world. It's not like I don't know, Facebook or have Twitter. You have this network where everybody has to are now being stuck on X.com's 100 those kind of stupid format. We're 2005. This entire Twitter thing is still very 2012 thing. But then people are stuck on it because there's a very strong network effect there. That's the nature of social networks. But text editors is a very different business. There's no hiding that. Your personal preference can change. We see that a lot. A lot of our hardcore users, they come from different era, come to us. Some of them come from Evernote. I was the first people. Some of the people come from Notion. Actually, they say, yeah, that was too much over-engineered. We want to have a more simple way. Some of our users go to Obsidian. Some of the people come from Obsidian to us. This is really a preference change over time.
Mm-hmm. Indeed, I was talking about this yesterday because there's a point of friction here because these preferences don't go away if you're working in the same organization. And so I'm very often having to deal with people that, as you said, are very intelligent, but they ask me, can I make it, we adopt Notion in the organization I'm talking about, and can I make a folder on Google Drive? I'm like, no, no, right? And it will be the same to link a Google Drive folder inside HackMD because, why doing that? But still, it's very hard for them to detach from this. We also have a Markdown person that is feels it's completely reasonable for non-technical people to commit Markdown to GitHub to update our website. We use Jekyll. And I'm like, no, that's not reasonable. And it's fine for you, but it's not fine for others. And this is another interesting topic of knowledge organization. It's not just the software, it's also people need to collaborate across these boundaries. And some Markdown, if anything, is more open than other options for, let's say, a diverse set of approaches, while clearly Notion is not. Notion, you are either fully in the cult, like myself, or it doesn't make any sense and it makes you cry. So I totally share this perspective.
Yeah, I wanted to add, just for having a bit of higher level context of your organization dealing with these changes in the market and in technology, where on one side you have these only one tools like Notion, and on the other you have these big tech companies like Microsoft and Google and the likes that are very focused on developers and now there's all this AI trend that is like augmenting the capabilities of coders, supposedly. Um, how is it to be in these kind of transformations? How is HackMD doing? Is something that you feel like threatening, or yeah? What's your take on that?
I'm taking your question as how is AI impacting us. I think that AI is here to stay, obviously, and AI changes the game. So like a lot of manual work can be replaced, but then think about this: you being a developer now, you can save a whole lot of time writing code, right? You can also ask AI to write documentation for you. Now you have all the free time to to yourself. How are you gonna use this free time? Are you gonna just chill, drink coffee, I don't know, Mai Tai, sip on your Mai Tai, sitting on a bench, I don't know, beach bench? I don't think that yeah, you can do that. But I think at the end of the day, we human are bound to producing beautiful things, producing good things to the world. We want to make the world better. We're builders, right? We want to make our life that use our time to create something better for the world, right? So like we that need doesn't change. So I do think that a lot of manual work will be replaced, but people will still continue to use that time to build even more things. And I think that the thing is like people build things to not only make the world better, not only make themselves feel better, they also want to build connection with others. So like you write a piece of blog post, obviously you want to be famous. That's all for your own good. But you also write a piece of blog post because you want to share your idea, share your thoughts with other people. You want to be appreciated. You want your blog post be read by other people. You want people to give you feedback. Like maybe not for feedback itself, but maybe for the connection it brings. Like if you write a post, Simone as a stranger see the first time, oh, this is great. You'd be happy. But if Simone say, oh, this is trash, here's my thought, you probably will feel a little bit pissed, but then you actually wanted to connect with that person more. You want to know, why do you think it's trash? What do you think is wrong about it? Like let me fix you. So like that's how you kind of start building a connection. I think AI is not gonna take that thing away. Human want to connect with each other. Human want to build things with each other together. Community is gonna be more important than ever. So secondly, we I think yeah, we currently don't have resource to do any AI thing, but we do want to like double down on the community connection aspect of things. We want people to be able to appreciate each other's work, give feedback to each other. I think that human connection to connect with your more increased free time is gonna be more important for everyone. So I think we are on the so like it's like knowledge sharing, knowledge management, those are good, but want to like build toward more community knowledge sharing, community knowledge building, and also I think knowledge has to be really digested to become your knowledge, right? You can read through all those summary written by AI of a book or a post. You can say, hey, Gemini, summarize this for me, and then you read through that, but that's probably not gonna stay for very long. You really have to go through the original text, try to learn it yourself. And HackMD, we building the community here is really to help you. Like, if you can read through this text and then we provide this opportunity to along the way read other people's comment, read other people's reaction to it, see other people, how do people think about it, and you can also leave your reaction to it. You can also leave your comment, and this giving and taking, this is how knowledge is really being formed and shaped into your own mind. AI can do summary, but that's about it. They cannot do learning for you.
That's great to hear. Like nowadays, this thing of the AI agents. Now you can have like your agent in as a bot in your community interacting with people. But you think people want like to speak with a bot when they're like there for enjoying the community and having sense? Like, yeah. Just another question in connection with this new paradigm of great interoperability and integration with third parties tool. what's the situation with HackMD in terms of integration with other tools, APIs, and these kind of things?
Yeah, Maxis knows better, but we do have API now. Our API covers all the basic, all the even more advanced like CRED, basic operation, or even more advanced like things like so our API does a whole lot of things. We
Yeah.
maybe Max want to chat about our
RPA
API
is
a little bit.
quite powerful. That it just say that CRE means that you can create updated it and read those notes. And what I'm trying to mention is about the update. So HackMD is a collaborative platform. So that means when you trying to update a node and another person trying to update at the same time, you will cooperate. Our server will solve the conflicts. So the API itself is cooperative as well. And yeah, GitHub is the one thing we already integrated in our platform. You can use the version to pull and push, but also you can build your own like in your Slack, you can build your own Slack bot and create an issue, or just pull this thread to HackMD node, or maybe you can do the same thing for Discord. What do we see is like Simone just mentioned about the Jekyll, right? So we have a template. You can like when you commit when you use Hackn to commit to GitHub, you can trigger a build and you can update your own blog. That's a way you can do that. And also we have a local organization called Government Zero. They use Hackn a lot for recording their meetings. That's one thing. And before the meeting, they create a bot that can always pre-create those meeting notes, HackMD, and then they'll grab those things and post on their Slack channel. So all the invitees can have the link, just like a meeting link we have now, to join in and write the things. And they even have a bot that can pull the all inviting list and naming their names in the note, so they don't need to key in. Yeah, so also we think we are really a good player for those AI LLM, because we usually use Markdown as a output or input. So in any time you can do it right now. You hack these settings, you can back up all your notes and you pull those notes to like notebook LLM and ask them questions. So it's based on like your mental models and what you have input already, and you can answer a question, you as your own agent. I think there's a lot of potential HackMD can play with.
Summarize that we having this plain text markdown format help us to interface with a whole lot of tools. You can build bot based on our API. You can send our things to AI agents to have that summarize things for you. These are all good. We have GitHub integration. We also have ROE. So I think a lot of your audience are from Web3 people, not from Web3 space. So we definitely have integration with Web3. Two more important things. We have a sign in with Ethereum. So basically, you can use your own wallet to sign into HackMD, like to know like who you are. It's like this is a way a way of authentication for you if you're a Web3 users. Have your own Ethereum wallet. That's doable on HackMD. You can also export your node onto Arweave. Arweave is like a stable. As a more for storage. Is a token for storage chain. So you can also do that as well. Going forward, we were looking for very established and seem to stay longer, like and well accepted protocols to work with. The idea to do either with Signing with Ethereum or with Arweave is so because it adds value to our mission. Want to build a community with documentation, and this documentation is sustainable, it's portable, so that these two tools, Signing with Ethereum and Arweave, plays nicely with our mission. So yeah, we're constantly looking for established protocol, established use case that makes sense to our missions, and we don't really do it because they are Web3 or decentralized. We do it because they have a nice solution to our problem, and our problem is in sync with our mission. So yeah, we're not limiting ourselves to just Web2 GitHub or just Web3. We want to make our product really useful for our users.
I have a question going back to integrations and like connected to the rest of the web. So I would like to know if you support webhooks, or if you have plans to support webhooks in reaction to, for example, committing a new version of a document on HackMD, or like any kind of trigger, automated trigger, like when there's an update to a certain document, webhooks, so I can attach it to NA10 or Zapier and send a notification to Slack. Is this something already doable? Is this something you will ever do?
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, we don't have webhook right now, but we're planning to have webhooks, and I think that's a feature we are pretty exciting about because like the bot, like Slack, the channels, and a lot of things can trigger by webhook, and the webhook has been to be in my opinion pretty stable because we know we don't want to fail other service when we provide the webhooks there. So that's why we're not doing it right
Yeah.
now. But I think because we have folder, and we all have that plan soon. Yeah.
Well, great. It was very interesting to know more about your vision and what HackMD can offer. I think it's very aligned with the commons and the commons economy that we are trying to collectively bring forward, as it's basically an open source business, a small company, very collaborative, very community based, and focus on portability, interoperability, and not making people trapped in any tool. So, what do you want to share about this coming year? What's going to happen in HackMD? How people can follow you guys?
Yeah. So this coming year, we actually recently just launched a long-awaited features like a folder, like what 225 or so folders. Folder structure is gonna be very instrumental to our going for GitHub integration, folder to folder integration, webhook things, plays well nicely to other data structure online. Like in human technology stack that people are used to having folder, box, and file, and objects mental model, and those models are very baked into our operation system, the way we organize our information. So yeah, that is something we're looking forward to really bring it to life. Going forward this year, we're gonna have more interaction boosting features, so that people will be able to leave emojis to direct text, like a chunk of text in HackMD. You'll be able to create a comment on other people's note, but then turn that comment into its own post, so that post belongs to you. You can write extensive feedback to that chunk of like that paragraph you highlighted on other people's notes. So like want to make like again interaction and also exchange of ideas more intuitive for our users and more useful for our users to build this community of knowledge sharing. It's like we want to respect that everyone have their own kind of knowledge structure differently, but there's always something people are willing to share with each other and to explore from each other. So like we want to make it easier for our user to explore what other people think. It's like for example, I said earlier, you can leave a comment and turn that comment into a note in itself, and the reader of your comment should also be able to navigate to your other published notes to see what you think, what kind of person you are. Like, so we want to make this human to human connection easier, and then easier to discover each other, through the through other people's, through your comments, through things, like make those more obvious to people, so people can discover like-minded people as well more easily. That's coming out this year. We're also trying to build. So right now, HackMD, our plan, we have the personal prime plan, but more importantly, our team plan is the most highest growth, and the most revenue comes from team plan, like team levels collaboration. A lot of our team user were asking, can we have a higher level or organization layer, so like a bigger overarching entity that encompassing like different teams together. So like this is something in the cooking as well. We want to provide the capability to organize different teams, and then to make this more even more useful for larger like more people setting of collaboration. So these things are coming up this year. It's going to be very exciting. It's gonna be a whole lot of work, but it's gonna
Good
be very
stuff.
fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for your work, and thank you for coming here today.
No, thank you so much, Giulio and Simone. We enjoying the conversation. No, let's partner up, going forward, see if we can help each other in terms of building business, building this product, building a better community for humankind.
Thank you very much.
Thanks
Thank
for
you.
coming here.
See you next time.